So I've got a question for you. Have you ever found yourself hanging around people who underestimate your value, question your ambitions, and belittle your dreams? Have you ever said to yourself while maintaining these toxic relationships, why am I putting up with this? Today, we're gonna bust through that toxic comfort zone, and I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why you can no longer stay in any relationship, job, any situation where you're not valued. Hi, I'm Cassandra Vaughn, and this is Cassandra Vaughn TV, a life redesign channel for women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who want to rebuild their minds, redesign their lives, and reestablish their powerful sense of self-worth. If you're a woman in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, and you are ready to rebuild your life, meaning you are ready to put on your crown, to reclaim the throne and to rule your kingdom, click subscribe and click the bell, and you will be alerted every time there's a new video, and they will all relate to you. You know, very often my clients will ask me a question about how to deal with people who judge, criticize, and doubt them. And far too often, the people that they're talking about are some of the closest people to them in their lives, meaning sleeping next to them in the bed. And it's a tough thing to navigate because on the one hand, the people who don't value them, don't see their brilliance, or don't want them to see their own brilliance, and yet they keep them because they have use for them. And you know, it makes me think about an Eleanor Roosevelt quote that says, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Think about that. Nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. And so navigating this idea of, I don't feel valued at the place I work. I don't feel valued in my relationship. I don't feel valued in my family. You know, they call me the black sheep or this and that. It is hard territory to navigate. And so the question becomes, well, what do you do? What do you do in situations where there's a toxic comfort zone for both you and them, but it's very apparent that you are not valued? What do you do? Let's start with the truth. Don't stay where you're not valued. Don't stay where you're not valued. Now, don't stay means a lot of things. Let's talk about what that means. First and foremost, don't stay means don't stay in your head where you're not valued. Now, that Eleanor Roosevelt quote, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent," the first thing you gotta do is in your own heart and mind, you need to remove any of the poison that those people have given you emotionally that somehow led to you believing even an inkling of what they are saying about your value. First thing you got to do, don't stay, means you have to know your own value. You have to say to yourself, regardless of how they treat me, regardless of how they respond to me, regardless of what they leave me out of, regardless of what they say behind my back, I need to know who I am for me, and I need to value me. And so you can't stay in the emotional space and in the mental space and in the mindset space of whatever garbage they're trying to sell you emotionally. You don't stay means you need to get super clear on how valuable you are to you, so you become unmovable and unshakable in the belief that you are worthy of an amazing life. So that's the first thing don't stay means. The other things that don't stay means is sometimes you got to decide to distance yourself from people who constantly show you that you don't mean squat to them, who constantly show you that they don't value what you bring to the table of the relationship or the job. Sometimes it's distance, sometimes it's setting healthy boundaries. Jobs are a great example of this. If you are working like a dog for someone and you never get promoted and they don't value you and you are their workhorse, but they would never consider you anything else, maybe it's time to set some healthy boundaries. Maybe it's time to not work 80 hours a week, to put your out of office message on at 5 p.m. like you're supposed to, and only give them the 40 hours that they're paying you for, while you build yourself in other arenas elsewhere outside of those 40 hours, so you can actually go work for a company who will value what you bring to the table. So again, it really is about deciding. When I say don't stay, it doesn't mean you get up and quit your job today. It doesn't mean you get up and you say, this relationship is over today. It means you need to know your own value and stand the ground for that first. And then you need to look at every single relationship where this is happening, and you need to reset boundaries. But then you also need to decide, is the answer to this issue distance? Is the answer disowning the parent that is, belittling you every chance you turn around? Is the answer having a boundary violation conversation? Is the answer working less and focusing on getting to a place where you are valued more? That's what don't stay means. But the real issue isn't how to choose to not stay where you're not being valued. The real issue is, how do you give yourself enough reasons, enough motivation to take the actions consistently to get yourself out of a situation where you aren't being valued? Before you can take the actions, you need enough reasons to. Okay, so let's get down to the reasons. Here are 5 reasons why you can no longer stay in a relationship, a job, or any situation where you're not valued. Reason number 1, every moment you tolerate bad behavior is a moment you're disrespecting yourself. Okay, reason number 1, every moment that you are tolerating bad behavior is a moment that you are disrespecting yourself. Just sit with that for a second. Every moment that you are tolerating people who clearly don't value you is a moment that you're disrespecting yourself. I just want you to imagine for a second, whether you have kids or not, that you are in a specific situation where you clearly are not valued, and that person that you love so much, whether it's a parent, a child, a sibling, your spouse, your partner, whatever, they are actually in the room with you in that situation, and they are watching how you are being treated and how little you're being valued. Would you want them in the room with you? What would they say to the way that you're being treated? You see, here's the thing. We teach people how to treat us. And so if you needed a reason why you can no longer stay in any situation where you're not being valued, it's because every moment you continue to stay in it, you are teaching them that it's okay to not value you. You are teaching them that it is okay to treat you that way. You are showing them that you'll accept whatever they're willing to give you, including what they believe about your value. And yes, I know it's hard. Yes, I understand that you can't immediately get up one day and just go, I'm done with this. My $250,000 a year job as a doctor, I'm done with this, and all this medical school meant nothing, I'm out of here. I know you can't do that. What I am saying though, is you need to be cognizant of the fact, if you needed a motivational push to get you to take the actions for however long you need to take them to extricate yourself from the situation, if you ever needed a motivational push, one of the pushes should be to remind yourself, every moment I stay in this situation without also taking action to get myself out of this situation, I am disrespecting myself. I'm disrespecting me. So, lots of us have been in these situations or are in these situations. If you are currently in a situation where you are tolerating being undervalued, I want you to comment below and I want you to tell me, what is the biggest challenge to you getting out of the situation? What is keeping you stuck in a situation where clearly you are not valued? Comment below and tell me. Reason number 2, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself and your value. Reason number 2, you teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself and your value. So I want you to think about this for a second, because with everything that you accept, with everything that you tolerate, with every bit of disrespect and undervaluing that occurs, and the way you just go, that's so funny, or you just say nothing about it, you are in silence about your own mistreatment. You are actually verifying to those individuals who are doing it that it's okay to do that and that you accept that. You see, what most of us don't get is that we are actually teaching them to devalue us by the fact that we accept that they're doing it. I just want you to sit with that. We're also showing people when we don't stand up for ourselves in situations like that, when we do not speak our truth, when we do not set good boundaries, we're also teaching them that we don't value ourselves either. Because think about it, if you, from another person's perspective, If you actually felt that you were valuable and worthy and capable and amazing, would you be in the company of people and in situations where they treat you like you're not that? No, you wouldn't. So from the other person's perspective, they're going, well, she's good with how she's being treated. She knows she's only as good as this. She knows she doesn't deserve more than this because she's still here. She's still here in this crappy relationship. She's still here tolerating that person's bullshit. She's still here. So she must think that this is all she's worth either. And if she thinks this is all she's worth, well, who am I to treat her any differently? Lots of people think that way. I know you probably don't think that way, which is why you don't think other people do. But lots of people think if you'll take their shit, they'll keep shoveling it in your direction. So reason number 2, if you needed a reason to not stay where you're not being valued, it's remember that you teach people how to treat you, and you do it by how you're allowing yourself to be treated in a situation, because it teaches them both what's okay to do to you and how to treat you, but it also is showing them what you think of your own value, because if you actually thought you were worth more, you would not be in relationship with them. Period. So if you needed a reason, just knowing that you are teaching people how to treat you by how you treat yourself and how you treat your value, that's enough motivation right there to be like, oh, this has got to stop. This has got to stop now. Reason number 3, self-doubt is not a reason to accept being undervalued. Reason number 3 is a reminder that I want you to give to yourself every single time you have an inclination to go, well, maybe there's some merit to how they're treating me and what they're saying to me. Self-doubt is not a reason to be undervalued. Let me say that again. Self-doubt is not a reason to be undervalued. Here's the deal, and I say this in so many of my books at overcomingfearbooks.com. Every time that I talk about it, there are a few things that are going to be in the car of your life that do not need to be in the driver's seat. One of them is fear. Fear is always going to be in the car. It just should never be in the driver's seat. The second thing that's going to be in the car of your life with you is self-doubt. We're always going to have self-doubt about something. We're always going to feel, so you trying to rationalize that the reason why they don't value you is because you're dealing with self-doubt, join the club. We've got lifetime after lifetime that we're going to be dealing with self-doubt. It can be in the car, it can't be in the driver's seat. So I want you to remind yourself every time you start to do that whole, well, maybe they have a point. Maybe there's some truth, like I need to work on myself. Baby, we all need to work on ourselves. All of us need to work on ourselves. Self-doubt is never a reason for anybody to not value you, because we've all got it. We're all gonna live with it for our entire lifetimes. It's never going away. And since we've all got it, that is separate. It is a separate issue from our value. So if you needed a reason to not stay where you're not being valued, it's this. Remind yourself that self-doubt is never a reason for somebody to undervalue you. Reason number 4, if a person doesn't appreciate you, they don't deserve you. Reason number 4, if a person doesn't appreciate you, they don't deserve you. Let me say that again. If a person doesn't appreciate you, they don't deserve you. Now look, there are a lot of us out here who have been trained from a very early age to prove that we're worthy, to prove that we're good, to prove that they're nice, to prove that we're smart. There are a lot of us out here who have the thrill of the chase. We've had early childhood experiences where we had to win over a parent's love, a teacher's love, a sibling's love, whatever. So then we go through life with this pattern of feeling like, if I can just show them who I am or convince them that I'm worthy, then they'll choose me and I'll have won. You need to get over that right now, because let me help you out again. If a person doesn't appreciate you, they don't deserve you. This is and I'm speaking to the women here on this, because we do this a lot more than men. You got to get to an age where you go, if you don't want me as I am, and I'm talking all relationships here, including work, then you don't know what you're missing out on, and you need to go to, what did Beyonce say? To the left, because I just don't have life enough to convince you of who, and in fact, if my crown is on, I'm not even gonna try to convince you. No more convincing. If a person does not appreciate you, they don't deserve you. And I know you might like the thrill of the chase. I know you might be an alpha female and you love the hunt. I know that you love proving people wrong or thinking that people pleasing is your doorway to getting accepted by them. Can I help you out with somebody? Somebody who is convinced that you will never be good enough will never be convinced otherwise. You will if they are sold on you not being worthy of them, if they are sold on you not being worthy of a higher position in their company, you will never convince them otherwise. Stop trying to convince them. Stop wasting your energy that way, because at the end of the day, even if, let's just in a hypothetical world, even if you could convince them, do you realize how resentful you're going to be by the time you do? Do you realize how much in your heart of hearts you're going to be pissed off? That you had to go through how many hoops just to be considered? You're going to be so pissed that like it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even worth it. So here's what I'm saying. If a person doesn't appreciate you, they don't deserve you. Set the standard of that. Establish the belief of that. So then the next time you're in a situation where you're not valued, you just go, they don't appreciate me. So they've let me know where they fall in line with my standard and they don't. So I'm going to drop them like it's hot. I'm going to drop them like it's hot. Now, a lot of people struggle with this. If you struggle with this, if you struggle with hustling for your worthiness, people pleasing, trying to convince people of your value, I want you to comment below and I want you to tell me, what is your biggest struggle? What keeps you on that hamster wheel of hustling for your worthiness? What is it in you that can't seem to let go of the idea of you've got to prove to them that you're worthy? Comment below and tell me. Reason number 5. Nobody truly knows your value but you. Make sure you know what you're worth. So the 5th reason why you can no longer stay in a place where you are not being valued is this. Nobody truly knows your value but you. Make sure you know what you're worth. This is something you need to say to yourself time and time again. Anytime you're on the fence about staying in a job, a relationship, or any situation where you're not valued. Sometimes we teeter-totter, right? Like a seesaw. We go, I hate my job and they don't value me. And then we have one good day after 10 bad days. So we go, no, maybe I can deal with this. This is a really good reason and a good why that will anchor you in the fact that you need to leave the situation. Nobody knows your true value but you. Make sure you know what you're worth. Make sure you know what you're worth. And here's a quote that I love. I'm going to give it to you. Don't let someone who doesn't know your value tell you how much you're worth. I'm going to say it again. Don't let someone who doesn't know your value tell you what you're worth. So here's the thing. You got to know where you stand on your own value. You got to know. Like you literally need to know. So when people try to give you a value that doesn't actually match your own knowledge of your value, you dismiss that with ease. You just go, psh, dismissed. It's not even entertained. It doesn't take up mental space in your head rent free. Because you have such a strong anchor of knowing your own value. So you got to be clear on your value, and that is going to be a why strong enough to get you to consistently take the actions that you need to take to extricate yourself from any situation where you are not being valued. There you have it. My 5 reasons why you can no longer stay in a job, a relationship, or any situation where you're not being valued. Here's the thing. Anytime you stay for far too long in any of those situations, you are betraying yourself. And what self-betrayal costs over a long period of time is much more than any of us can bear. And so if you know you're in a situation where you're not being valued, if you know you've spent years in a situation where you're not being valued and you are getting to your breaking point, I want to invite you to join me for Rebuild Yourself, a 10-week program geared to women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And in this program, I teach you how to extricate yourself from these kinds of situations. Because you know what? At the end of the day, nothing, and I mean nothing, is worth the price of your own soul. Nothing. And there is nothing more soul killing than the self-betrayal that comes when you are accepting things from people that is below what you're worth. So Learn more about the 10-week Rebuild Yourself program. You can find out more at cassandravon.com/programs, and send me any questions if you've got them. So if this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching and have an amazing week.